After Rahul Gandhi's charge that Pakistan was tipped off beforehand, Jaishankar responds to him. Amit Shah highlights India's tough new anti-terror strategy under Prime Minister Modi, stressing zero tolerance and bold actions like Operation Sindoor. Red alert in Maharashtra. Mumbai records the highest rainfall in 107 years of monsoon's first day. Actor Dino Morea questioned in a 65 crore worth Mithi River cleaning scam probe. Mumbai police files an FIR against 13 accused for fraudulent desilting contract and billing. This actor was questioned. There's no more details about his involvement. UPSC questions paper sparking a controversy by mentioning Periyar's caste Naika. Civil Services prelims, questions on self-respect movement founder draws criticism on that. Andhra Pradesh's Deputy Chief Minister Pawan Kalyan speaks on TVK Chief Vijay's chances on electoral politics. Pawan Kalyan dismissing Vijay's comparison, saying can't compare two leaders in politics. Delhi High Court sends CRPF jawan to 15 days NIA custody over Pakistan intel leaks. Jawan accused of sharing sensitive information with Pakistan for money, currently under probe. Security forces used tear gas to disperse protesters in Imphal West. In fact, situation went tense over a bus name. Rally blocked ahead of Governor Ajay Kumar's Bhalla's return to Manipur. And Trump blasts Putin's crazy aggression, warns of downfall, also criticizes Zelensky, fueling controversy amid Ukraine war escalation. All right, let me take you through my top story. I do wish to begin with some good news for Indians, and that's India now becoming the fourth largest economy. It's not just about numbers, it's about India breaking into the new global league. India is now officially the fourth largest economy in the world, overtaking Japan. Let's hear it from the man himself, CEO of Niti Aayog, Subramaniam. Listen in.
This is already visible in the growth of India. We are the fourth largest economy as I speak. We are a $4 trillion economy as I speak. And this is not my data, this is IMF data. India today is larger than Japan. So it's only the United States, China and Germany which are larger. And if we stick to what is being planned, what is being thought through, it's a matter of another 2.5 to 3 years, we would become the third largest economy.
Now, just last year, we were in fifth place. India's GDP is now projected to hit $4.28 trillion by 2025-26, pushing ahead of Japan, whose economy is slowing at around $4.18 trillion. And this isn't the finish line. If India keeps growing at this current pace, then we are on track to even overtake Germany in the next 2.5 to 3 years, becoming the third largest economy in the world. Quite soon, if you're on track like we are now. According to the IMF, India's GDP is set to grow at 6.2% in 2025 and 6.3% in 2026. That's way above global average. In fact, there's a long-term vision too that Niti Aayog has. Niti Aayog's Viksit Bharat 2047. That's the plan. The projections show that they want to push India towards a $30 trillion economy by 2047 and a high-income country. That means they're going to raise per capita income beyond $14,000, which is a threshold set by the IMF itself. Now, a decade ago, India was clubbed with the fragile five. Today, we are powering through into the top four, maybe soon to be top three. We are stable, ambitious, forward-looking. But what does this really mean for the common man? In fact, this is something that you've got to hear carefully. It means there are more jobs, more investment, better infrastructure, stronger rupee. It means more industries in place, more startups, more global opportunities. Growth at this level can really improve everyday life, from smoother transport, digital services, more job opportunities, all within your own city or town. But also a flip side, and it does matter. Even with this economic rise, many Indians are still hunting for a job. Why? Because the growth isn't equal everywhere. Tech and services are booming fast, yet sectors like manufacturing, construction and farming haven't really kept up pace. There's also a gap between the young people who are in fact learning the skill of a job. Basically, jobs want people, but there aren't enough skillful people. The ones who really exactly fit into the job profile are fewer. While India is growing, private companies haven't really invested enough also into job-heavy industries. Tech is certainly one evil. In a way, it's also been a boon, but also a bane for many job seekers. So the growth is certainly real in many areas, but in some areas where there should be growth in the job market, seems like that's where we are lacking. But at the end of it, it will be felt on the ground. If you are, in fact, wondering how we've achieved these numbers so fast, let me tell you, because currently, those with spending capacity are spending a lot more. Businesses are growing, exports are rising, government-backed big reforms are taking off. While other big economies had slowed down, India stayed on track and on the move. And our post-COVID recovery was brilliant. So, at this point, those who feel dejected, wanting to ask, what's in this for me? Know this very clearly. Every big leap starts small, steady steps on the ground. Numbers may seem distant for now, but they do create space for change, for more jobs in the future, more opportunities, more room for your hustle. You may not feel it yet, but you're part of it, and this rise is equally yours too. All right, on that note, let me take you through the scare that looms in the country today, and that's COVID. It seems like it's back. The fresh spike in infections across India has brought the virus back into the spotlight, while numbers are still relatively low. The alert levels are rising, especially after 9 confirmed deaths reported across Karnataka, Maharashtra, Kerala and Jaipur. India currently has 1,009 active COVID cases, of which 752 are officially confirmed. 305 have already recovered. But what's really triggered the concern in recent fatalities? As we know, there have been a few deaths that have been reported, and that's really sparked a little panic. The ICMR chief, Rajiv Bahal, has said there's no need to worry though, because those people who succumbed to COVID this time were, in fact, they had underlying comorbidities, they had issues already, pre-existing health conditions, and that was the reason that COVID acted as a disaster. Now, here are the most affected regions. If I could take you through across India, Jaipur, in the latest, we hear 2 deaths have been reported in Jaipur. That's sparked fresh concern. Both are under probe for a possible new variant. One, a semi-conscious man who was admitted to the SMS hospital on May 9th, died 2 weeks later after trying hard to revive him. The other, a 26-year-old TB patient at a private hospital. We understand that genome sequencing was also tried, but unfortunately 2 died in Jaipur. India had recently detected variants of NB1.8 in Tamil Nadu and LF.7 in Gujarat under WHO watch, but not linked to severe illnesses. Those variants so far that we hear that have been found in India are not severe in nature. Kerala also topping the chart in active cases. Total infected in Kerala at this point 335, while recovered are 105. Unfortunately, 2 people have died in Kerala. Both deaths were men aged 59 and 64 years of age. In Maharashtra, highest deaths in this surge, as we know, total infected in Maharashtra were 300. New cases in the last 24 hours are 43. And unfortunately, in Maharashtra, 4 people have died of COVID-19. All had comorbidities, underlying health conditions. Now we hear most of the new cases are coming in from Mumbai. That's basically largely the epicenter in Maharashtra. Mumbai has recorded the most number of COVID cases. Apart from that, Pune. Delhi then, we're looking at a sharp rise in Delhi as well. Active cases at this point in Delhi is 104. That's a spike of nearly 100 cases since last week. Health Minister Pankaj Singh has also urged calm, asking people to not worry. or panic. This is a virus that is not so severe in its strain. That's what's been told by doctors, of course, pushed and propagated by some politicians as well, because we saw the first 3 rounds of COVID-19 that hit India. There was immense panic. Unfortunately, many died as well. So this is a reason of concern, but doctors constantly saying this is not severe. Finally, Karnataka, first COVID fatality has been reported in Karnataka. 1 death in the last 24 hours has been confirmed. 85-year-old woman from Whitefield who died with multi-organ failure. She was tested of COVID just a few days ago. Currently in Karnataka, 35 cases, largely 32 of them out of the 35 from Bengaluru alone. So you had Dinesh Gundarao also reassuring nothing to panic. Listen in.
No, we don't want anyone to be in the panic, because whatever cases that are there now, around 45, 46 cases, all of them are all, with home isolation, with no other serious condition, no need of any ventilators or ICU or even oxygen also. So it has been, so the symptoms are not very severe, and the infection is not causing any serious problems for them in terms of health. So that has been the outlook so far. At least we can start monitoring and testing more. And then we will see. We'll go on a day-to-day basis, looking at the data and looking at information from within the state and from Government of India also, and then take further steps.
अपने दिल्ली की जनता के वासियों को बड़ा सब प्रेम बताना चाहता हूं कि कोरोना से घबराने का कोई भी विषय नहीं है। अभी तक से जो भी पेशेंट आए हैं वो नॉर्मल सर्दी खांसी लेकर आए हैं, इसलिए ये कोई पैनिक की चीज नहीं है। और ये जो वेरिएंट दिख रहा है, ये अपने आप धीरे धीरे अभी तक की स्थिति में वो सिर्फ एक वायरल के रूप में आया है। किसी भी लोग को इसके घबराने की जरूरत नहीं है।
Now, one must know, while if this is not a repeat of 2020, health officials are asking citizens nonetheless to follow basic precautions, wear masks if symptomatic, maintain hygiene and keep a close watch on vulnerable family members. The virus, well, even if it's not severe, it is multiplying. It's infectious for certain, so better be safe than sorry. Now, let me take you through the monsoon rains. In fact, I would say pre-monsoons that's wreaked havoc in many parts of India. That could be another reason to why COVID is fast spreading. So, got to be very careful. Widespread floods and casualties were reported across states. In fact, the early onset of southwest monsoon in 35 years has unleashed torrential rains across Maharashtra, Karnataka and Kerala that's triggered floods and wall collapses. Many of them have lost their lives. In Maharashtra, let me begin. 2 deaths have been reported. 1 woman was crushed in Virar slab collapse. Another killed by lightning in Raigad. 25 houses partially collapsed in Baramati. Dozens of families evacuated. Mumbai really seeing chaos. 6 waterlogged zones, 18 short circuits, 5 wall collapses. No injuries though, but emergency teams were deployed. NDRF active in Satara, Mumbai, parts of Pune, Solapur, Raigad, all remain flooded. Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde has said government is on high alert. In fact,
ये हमारा सबका टीम का एक ही है, कहीं पर भी जीवित हानि ना हो तो ये करना। और ये अभी तो ये बहुत मतलब 100 साल में मेरे ख्याल से 35 साल बोल रहे थे, ये रिकॉर्ड ब्रेक बारिश हुआ है। इतने सालों में कभी आप देखा है कि इतनी जल्दी बारिश हो जाए। और ये 200-250 के ऊपर मिलीमीटर बारिश गिर रहा है, तो इसके लिए थोड़ा गैरसोय झाली आहे। पण ती आता पुढे सगळे आता आपले सगळे अलर्ट आहेत, टीम आता काम करतील.
all right, we know that Bollywood actors, their homes have been flooded. We hear in Juhu, Amitabh Bachchan's home was also flooded despite it being rain-proofed. And that's the home. We hear they also had quite a traumatic few days with incessant rains lashing Mumbai. Plastic sheds going up in Shield going up to shield courtyards from water ingress. Also, Shatrughan Sinha's bungalow nearby took a big hit. Let me now take you through Karnataka. 4 deaths have been reported in Karnataka. Among them, unfortunately, a 3-year-old girl killed in Belagavi's wall collapse. A slab collapse earlier in Bengaluru turned fatal. 5 tourists dramatically rescued after getting stranded in Irugundi Falls. These are visuals from Karnataka. A close call for Karnataka governor as well, Tawarchand Gehlot. His chopper was forced into 2 emergency landings in Bellary due to rain and poor visibility. All passengers are safe. Kerala, let me take you through 11 districts in Kerala. That's been declared a red alert there, sounded a red alert. Schools have been shut, emergency teams on standby. Wayanad, Idukki, Patnamthitta, all facing the brunt. No casualties though reported in Kerala. The monsoon has arrived much ahead of schedule, and from the looks of it, it's come with a vengeance. States now remaining on high alert. Emergency teams at the point working overtime. All right, and this is the national capital, Delhi. We saw flights taking a big hit, movements of vehicles, of course, slowing down. Many vehicles were seen submerged. Delhi, when it rains this hard, comes to a standstill. It's already a very populous city. So you can imagine a bout of rain can bring the city to its knees, and that's precisely what's happened. A storm-like situation happened last night in Delhi, and it seems like the weather is still gloomy. Many flights were disrupted, grounded. Operations are now back in action, but brace up for what's coming in the days ahead. All right, let me take you through a story that really has raised concerns about maritime life, marine life itself. Kerala is staring at a looming maritime disaster, and it's not just about a sinking ship. The Liberian vessel MSC Elsa 3 went down off the Kochi coast, carrying over 450 tons of oil and 640 containers, including hazardous chemicals and calcium carbide, a compound that reacts dangerously with water. Now, without a proper state contingency plan in place, authorities are, of course, playing catch-up. Toxic cargo has already started washing up on the beaches of Kollam and Alappuzha. Containers are being spotted by locals, some filled with unsafe materials. Customers have been warned. In fact, at this point, we know Customs has warned people to not touch or tamper with anything found by the sea. It's not just illegal, it's also dangerous. The bigger worry, of course, is the oil spill. Fishermen along Kerala's coast could face major losses. The Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute warns of long-term ecological damage to fish, to coral, breeding grounds, all under threat. If the furnace oil leaks further, it could coat the sea surface, choke marine life, and poison the food chain as well. This isn't only an environmental concern, it's livelihood crisis in the making. Remember, Kerala depends heavily on seafood as their primary source of food, and the livelihood of many who actually, who in fact are in the fisheries business. This is a big, big hit. For coastal communities that depend on sea life entirely, this is massive and they're crying for help. Now, a quick look at the TASMAC case. Just when we thought that the Tamil Nadu government had some relief with the TASMAC probe, it appears now fresh controversy has erupted. Tamil Nadu State's TASMAC, the state-run liquor corporation, suffers a big setback after Madurai bench of the Madras High Court exposes some deep-rooted corruption within the state-run liquor distribution network. The court has revoked disciplinary action that was taken against 3 whistleblower employees who were suspended after speaking to the media about daily bribes and extortion allegedly led by senior officials. The judge in the case came down heavily on TASMAC, stating, and I quote, "Something is clearly wrong with the department," emphasizing that the government must not turn a blind eye to corruption. especially in an agency dealing with something as sensitive as liquor sales, where public safety is at stake. The employees had accused former district manager Rajeshwari and a supervisor of collecting 5,000 rupees a day from every outlet in Madurai. Despite filing complaints with the anti-corruption department, no action was taken, prompting them to speak out publicly. Remember, this expose almost comes right in time when the ED is probing irregularities within TASMAC. While the court held off the ED probe, here few of its own employees within the TASMAC basically sounding an alert, claiming that some of their officials have been corrupt. They've complained about it, but there's been no action taken. And the court now observing just that these are your employees who've spoken the truth. Yes, they have violated the media policy of TASMAC's media policy of officials or employees not speaking to the media against the TASMAC body. But the court says that's besides the point. The point that they spoke about corruption is what really needs to be investigated. These whistleblowers should not be targeted, but the corruption allegations that they've leveled must most certainly be probed into. Now, this ruling not only vindicates the suspended employees, but also raises serious questions about the governance and accountability of TASMAC. Now, to add to that, storm brewing between Tamil Nadu's ruling party DMK versus actor turned politician Vijay's Tamilaga Vetri Karagam, who slammed Chief Minister M.K. Stalin's Niti Aayog participation and his meeting with Prime Minister Modi, stating it was probably a move to close a deal on the ED's action in the alleged 1,000 crore TASMAC scam. Let me take you through those images. Those are images that came in a day or more ago, where we saw many opposition leaders meeting with Prime Minister Modi, including M.K. Stalin. So here is Vijay, who's slammed Stalin for hobnobbing with Prime Minister Modi at the Niti Aayog event. He says in his, and I quote, is in what he posted on his X handle, Vijay says, Chief Minister M.K. Stalin visited Delhi under the pretext of Niti Aayog meeting and met Prime Minister Modi all alone, realizing that ED action was similar to a snake encircling one's legs. And due to fear over trouble to his family members in the case, the central agency were to deep dive into the 1,000 crore scam, basically suggesting that MK Stalin tried to cozy up with Prime Minister Modi so he could get off the ED case with regards to the TASMAC case. Well, these are words of Vijay, alleging Chief Minister Stalin's Delhi visit wasn't to seek state funds, but to protect his family instead from the TASMAC scam. He claimed the interim court stay pushed Stalin to explore many ways to halt the ED investigation using Niti Aayog as a cover, claiming that DMK had realized that it would be defeated in 2026 assembly elections and hence thinking of a direct alliance with the divisive BJP. This is Vijay saying that MK Stalin is also mulling over an alliance with the BJP to come back to power because it's clearly losing. Remember, these are words that are coming right in time when elections are due to happen just around the corner in Tamil Nadu. Vijay's TVK seems to be one of the most fitting party against the DMK at this point. Might just be putting up a strong challenge. And here is Vijay, even before elections close in, raising the heat, condemning MK Stalin, the ruling in Tamil Nadu, saying that he is now cozying up with Prime Minister Modi because he knows he's very well losing and he wants to shield himself against the ED probe in the TASMAC case to protect his family. All right, taking you through the big Miss World pageant that happened in Telangana, of course, didn't end with its fair share of controversy. Telangana was making global headlines for hosting the prestigious Miss World 2025, a moment of pride indeed, global event right here in Hyderabad. But that spotlight was quickly dimmed into a controversy after Miss England's shock exit from the pageant set off an international storm. In fact, 22-year-old Mila Magee, who was representing Britain, claims she was asked to socialize with a few men as a gesture of thanks to event sponsors. A suggestion, she says, made her feel like a prostitute, quote unquote. Her explosive comments made in an interview to a British tabloid, The Sun. She says that she was in fact forced to speak to some of the men there unwillingly, because they were the sponsors of the event, so she was forced to hobnob with them. Now, this has snowballed into a diplomatic embarrassment clearly for Telangana, with criticism coming in from across the globe. Caught off guard, the Congress-led Telangana government is now in damage control mode. Clearly, the state's Special Chief Secretary for Tourism, Jayesh Ranjan, has outrightly denied the allegations, calling them absolutely baseless and deeply irresponsible. He released CCTV footage from the only official dinner that Maggie attended at Hyderabad's iconic Chowmahalla Palace, where she's seen seated with a senior IAS officer and his family. Now, Ranjan insists that there was no inappropriate interaction, no misconduct, and that all guests, including Maggie, were treated with absolute dignity. He also hinted at foul play, suggesting that someone might have paid Maggie to make such allegations, though he offered no proof on that. So far, no formal probe has been launched, while there are unconfirmed reports that senior women police officers have interacted with some contestants to understand if there were any concerns. There has been no official statement that's come from the government either addressing the wider implications of this controversy. Neither has any initial investigation exposed or revealed any of those claims that Miss England, Maggie, has made. Ranjan says all facts will come out soon, but only after the Miss World finale wraps up on May 31st. Until then, the pageant that was meant to showcase Telangana to the world is now raising questions the government is now struggling to answer. Quick look at a political rally, a campaign, more of a meet and greet Prime Minister carried out in Gujarat today, right after the India-Pakistan conflict. This was his first road show that happened in Gujarat, reaffirming nation's focus on progress and on its strength. Speaking at a massive rally in Dahod, Gujarat, Prime Minister hailed Operation Sindoor and spoke about the brutal Pahalgam attacks that killed 26 innocents. Prime Minister declared, and I quote, "Those daring to wipe off the sindoor of our sisters must know their end is near." Let's hear it, what Prime Minister said.
भारत का लक्ष्य अपने यहां गरीबी को दूर करना है, अपनी अर्थव्यवस्था को मजबूत करना है, खुद को विकसित बनाना है। विकसित भारत का निर्माण तभी होगा जब भारत की सेनाएं भी मजबूत होगी और हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था भी दमदार होगी।
Now, taking you through a quick look on Russia, Ukraine, the war is far from over, and it seems like Trump at this point losing his cool over it. In what's being called the largest aerial assault since the war began, Russia has unleashed a massive overnight attack on Ukraine, firing over 360 drones, missiles, killing at least 12 people, including 3 children. Ukrainian cities have been pounded for a third consecutive night. Those are the visuals there that came in from Ukraine of constant attacks from Russia's side. Russia claims also Ukraine fired missiles and drones on its part. But here, the real damage visible on Ukrainian side, Kiev damaged many parts. In fact, there were 12 deaths that were reported as well across 22 regions of Ukraine, residential and industrial areas targeted. Now, this brutal escalation has triggered global outrage, including a blistering reaction from US President Donald Trump. Here's what Trump has to say on that.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him, but he's sending rockets into cities and killing people, and I don't like it at all, okay? We're in the middle of talking, and he's shooting rockets into Kiev and other cities. I don't like it at all.
Now, Trump has warned that Putin's full-scale aggression may lead to Russia's downfall, while also raising the possibility of fresh sanctions against Moscow. But Trump didn't stop there. He's also taken aim at Ukrainian President Zelensky, accusing him of creating tensions through his rhetoric, saying, and I quote, "Everything out of his mouth causes problems. I don't like it, and it better stop." Kremlin responded to Trump's remarks, brushing them off as emotional reactions and outbursts during a high-stress period for Trump, while defending the attacks as targeted strikes on military infrastructure. Basically, Russia saying we did not attack any civilian establishments, it was just military infrastructure that was targeted, admitting in a way that they've begun strikes again. All this as both countries remain locked in war, are trying as much as possible on many platforms to come to a ceasefire. In fact, there was a deal that was struck briefly in Turkey recently, but back to square one. War continues, almost 3 years and counting. On that note, I'm going to slip into a short break. We'll be right back. News on the other side on freshers, people from India largely not finding a job in US and UK, parts of Europe as well. The reasons of which we break down. Stay with us.
News never lies.
But on the twisting highways of headlines, every turn brings a new story.
So buckle up for Pune Highway.
Because the story is going to twist at every turn.
Dead body kabhi jhoot nahi bolte.
You will need News 9 to stay with the truth.
Watch News 9.
English news as it should be.
And don't miss our film Pune Highway. In theaters
23rd May.
ಇದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಏನು ಯೋಚಿಸಬೇಡಿ. ಪ್ರತಿ ತಿಂಗಳು ನಾನು ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ದುಡ್ಡು ಕೂಡಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಆ ದುಡ್ಡಿಂದ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ ಕನಸನ್ನ ಈಡೇರಿಸಬಹುದು.
ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸುಗಳಿಗೆ ಸಾಕಾರ.
Is life transactional by any chance?
Of course. Everything in the creation affects everything else.
You are not only an actor, you are an activist.
Through my cinema, I've tried to always project what I really felt.
You tried to make women look beautiful for themselves.
The message to women was, let the spotlight of your life be on you.
You are fiercely competitive in nature, but you come across as a typical good boy that every mother would like to have.
But it doesn't mean you're not raging inside, or equally euphoric.
You have donned many hats, but who is Kiranra?
I am a speck and I am not even a blink in time.
From being somebody to becoming nobody is the first step in enlightenment. Even now, I don't think of myself as a brand.
You still move ahead with your beliefs.
Winning the game is what's going to make this decision right.
It's a kind of a barometer that you have internally.
It was lovely talking to Barun. It was great fun, and I think you'll find it fun to watch.
I found the discussion very thought-provoking.
As befits such a conversation, one goes back with more questions and answers.
He gave me a formula which I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, which is something that you'll have to watch the show for.
Watch Radical Presents Duologue with Barun Season 3 at these times on News 9. News 9 English News as it should be.
Welcome back. Let me take you through a story that we've been mulling over, conducting for a few days now. Finally, I did have this opportunity to tell Indians, if you're dreaming of working in the US, UK, parts of Europe, then be sure the honeymoon period for Indian graduates is over. In fact, Rajesh Sawhney isn't really mincing words here. The GSF Accelerator founder and alumna of Harvard and London School of Economics fellow has dropped quite a bombshell, a reality check rather, for Indian parents pouring crores of rupees into foreign degrees. In a post he put out on the X platform, he says, and I quote, "There are no jobs in USA, in Canada and UK for international students. Honeymoon period is over. Parents should think twice before spending crores on expensive education outside, particularly these countries." Now that one statement was enough to ignite this whole debate that's been simmering for quite a while, but it seems like now it's out in the open, acknowledged, spoken about without any hesitation. Thousands of Indians now struggling to find jobs in these countries. Their future is uncertain despite having a degree in hand. There's tougher visa rules now, post-study work restrictions immensely due to immigration crackdown, etc. in these countries. There seems to be a real freeze in hiring across sectors. Largely, of course, we are concerned for Indians, but we understand this is a direction for immigrants on the whole. And we know the number of Indians who go to these countries to study. Despite degrees in their hand, they're not finding jobs. In the UK, it appears changes to dependent visas and limited post-study options is the primary reason. In the United States, steep competition and limited H-1B slots is the reason there. In Canada, inflation and a cap on student intakes, the reason there. Now, how has this changed so quickly in the last few years? For those still dreaming of foreign degrees, what's the real reality check and what one should know? To give us a little more context on this, if this is really the most favorable option for Indians largely, Ambassador Ashok Sajanhar, former Indian diplomat, joining me here. Also Manish Chand, CEO, Center for Global India Insights. Thanks very much. Ambassador, your take on this first, Ashok Sajanhar, on the Indian dream, wanting to make it big in the US or UK or Canada. It's the go-to destination for many, I would say lakhs of Indians for many years. What's changed now?
Yeah, thank you very much, Nabila. You know, I think what has changed not only in the United States, but also as far as UK, Canada, Australia, you know, many of the other places where Indians throng in large numbers for the studies and hoping that they'll be able to get, the residence, permanent residence and work permit, etc., etc. I think it is becoming more challenging. That one has to recognize. And even without this report that you have quoted, I think it was the writing was very much on the wall, because these economies are not doing too well. These economies are, because of all these changes that have been taking place. It was the COVID, it was the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Israel-Hamas conflict. So, inflation has been going up, the productivity has been coming down. And so the economies are not doing too well. And particularly now with Mr. Trump in the saddle and his putting all, letting loose this tariff, threat across the world, there is a lot of uncertainty. And what does uncertainty mean for business? It means that you will not invest, because I want that there should be some stability, there should be some predictability in what the future looks like. So there is this uncertainty, and that is why no investments, no production, no jobs, etc. So this is definitely something there. If anyone expects that with just a mere degree you'll be able to get a job, I think that is difficult. The last point I'll make here, Nabila, is that technology is changing. So, there is new technology that is coming into the market. So, our students will have to be ready to master some of these technologies. And I think this challenge is not only for Indian students. It is for students from across the world in these countries, because jobs are less, so the opportunities will be less.
Correct. A quick word from Manish on whether parents are really making the right decision in spending crores of rupees for fancy education abroad. What would be your advice? Is it really foreign degrees worth an investment in 2025?
So, this massive, what we see kind of crackdown on immigration, on international students, basically, all these countries are no longer hospitable for Indians and all the students who want to go abroad. As Rajesh Soni rightly said, the honeymoon period is over. But it's also, if you look at the positive side of it, that we also need to rethink that why we are sending our children abroad, spending an obscene amount of money, if you come to think of it, instead of renovating and, refurbishing our own education system. What drives people to go to these countries? For better opportunities, better salaries, or whatever else, and the dream of a beautiful life, Now all that is coming apart. So now I think we have to calculate the cost and returns differently. That if we send it, first of all, there is a major thing, uncertainty. If you spend crores and you manage to sneak your way past all these rules and all that, and then you are not sure that your green card is going to come, and one fine day there's a midnight knock and you're asked to leave. So, all that comes unstuck. I think it's also, if you look at the underlying reasons, that the structural system, the structure has shifted. This whole reaction against international students is quite irrational, because international students have been critical to the success of these economies, their competitiveness. They bring so many jobs to these countries. But then, as the Sajana was pointing out, the job pie itself is shrinking. So there is more competition, whether you are going to give job to your own guys, your own people, or you let somebody from India or Sri Lanka or Africa to get that job. So this whole xenophobic tendency is, to my mind, it looks like it is going to stay, because there is a larger economic decline, and there is also the larger shift of power from the West to the rest, which the West is not quite comfortable with. But the recipe they have chosen to address this is self-defeating and self-destructive. It is not going to bring a lot of benefit, this very flawed decision,
No,
so obviously for Indian parents or parents who are planning to send, they need to rethink. I think we need to send. We have some excellent institutions, and there are more jobs now in India also.
No, but that's what I mean. My question was, is there a plus or a benefit as such, in your view, in actually studying abroad, even if you don't get a job, the kind of education that you'd get internationally, the syllabus that there is, the real thinking minds there, do you believe that Indians would benefit still getting a degree abroad, to get a better opportunity here home in India as well, to have a master's degree from a foreign country is more valuable? Would you still say that?
Yeah, I think so. If you look at it objectively, these universities are top-class universities with excellent, robust, R&D infrastructure, libraries, campus. It's an experience in itself. It's in a globalizing environment, in a global environment. This is an unmissable experience. So, if you can afford it, and if you can take a chance, you should not link it up with job alone. You can always come back. India is, ready to take you back, and there are a lot of opportunities here as well. So I think, yes, as an educational destination, I think those countries will still have their own lure and attractions, which is not going to diminish with all that. But of course, the practical constraints may deter now international students, to go in that number as they used to do earlier.
All right. So, we know that our country, of course, at this point is balancing its needs with ensuring their own people get a job first, and trying to still woo foreign students to come by and study in their countries, because it's also money for them at the end of it. Ashok Sajanhar, sir, your take on how countries coming together to actually have exchange programs, what does it do on the diplomatic level, and how can India change this around? Of course, we would like our students to be very much within India itself, but it's not bad at all for Indians to really make it big in these countries. We've seen their growth trajectory in the last few decades. Indians are really on the topmost positions in most of the companies in UK or in the US. So how can we get this wheel running without a stop?
Yeah, of course, there are challenges and there are opportunities. Let me sort of mention just a couple of points. Number one, in countries like Australia and the United States, not necessarily so much in Canada or the UK, there used to be a whole lot of scholarships that used to be available, even at the undergraduate level, even at the Ivy League universities. So, children who are bright, who are hardworking, etc., they could get these scholarships and they could go there. And, so the parents did not really have to shell out all that much of money, because, universities like Harvard, Yale, Stanford, all of them, they have very good alumni support, funding support from them. Second point is that, why many of these countries we've heard in recent years, Australia, UK, Canada, why they have put a cap as far as foreign students are concerned is because when foreign students come, there is much greater demand on housing, on healthcare, and that gives rise to inflation. And they want to protect their own people against inflation, so they have been sort of, putting a cap on
they've
this.
even cut down on salaries.
Yeah, salaries also, because again, the economies are not doing too well. The third part, I think the critical part is that India has started welcoming foreign universities. When Prime Minister Albanese was here, we saw that the first, Dixon University, Australian University, coming to Gift City in Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
So there are many such universities, joint ventures, etc. Rather than spending all that much money, Manish was talking very rightly about faculty and others, the experience in the other countries that you have. So if you are able to recreate the same environment, the same ambience in India, have the same professors at much lower cost, I think it will definitely do a great deal of good. And the last point is, I think we need to recognize that the center of gravity of the global economy is shifting from the transatlantic to the Indo-Pacific. And India today is the fourth largest economy. So, there are many and fastest growing major economy. So there are many more jobs that are going to be created in India in future. We are supposed to be adding $1.5 trillion to our economy, $1 trillion in 1.5 years. So, there's going to be more productivity, more production, more investment. At least that is the hope. And I think people should be able to get training here, skills here, and also jobs here.
Lovely. Thank you very much. I really appreciate Manish and Sir Ashok Sajanhar joining me on this.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, a quick look at what's happened in Bengaluru that was rather disappointing. A tech CEO has walked out of Bengaluru, not for better business opportunities, but for what he calls language nonsense. Precisely what Kaushik Mukherjee has said while he shifts his entire company from Bengaluru to Pune after that very viral video of an SBI manager refusing to speak in Kannada, a moment that really spiraled into a large debate about language identity. Now, in a strongly worded post, Kaushik has said he did not want his non-Kannada speaking employees to become victims like that of what he called growing linguistic intolerance in Bengaluru. The row has led to protests by Kannada groups, but it also raised questions about whether the city's famed cosmopolitan character itself is slowly eroding. Because, well, looking at it objectively across India, whether in Karnataka, Maharashtra, language barriers do exist. But when identity politics turns into intimidation and the state watches in silence, it clearly begins to threaten more than just sentiment. It starts to hurt jobs, investment and economy. This is Bengaluru, which is called the India's startup capital, home to unicorns, VCs, talent from literally every corner of the country coming into Bengaluru. Can it really afford to lose its inclusive spirit? To give us a little sense on this, let me bring in Sridhar Pabi Shetty for more on that. Sridhar, thanks very much for tuning in. Sridhar, go on. Give us your take on what we see here. A Bengaluru CEO has decided that he wants to, pack up lock, stock, barrel, move to Pune because he's scared his employees who don't speak Kannada will be victim to what we saw there with the SBI case. What's your take on that?
Thank you, Nabila, for inviting me on this debate. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction from Mr. Kaushik, and I think he would know better than trying to move from, Karnataka to Maharashtra. As you rightly mentioned, language frictions are a phenomenon across the country, and not just across the country, across the world as well. But to kind of look at how Bengaluru has been cosmopolitan, not just for the last few years, it's also been for the last few decades. In the late 70s, Bengaluru was probably the only city in India which would have matinee shows with 5 different languages running, right? And if you go back even a few centuries before, We have had inscription stones from all languages, Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Marathi, and you name it. Urdu as well, right? So I guess Bengaluru is fairly cosmopolitan city. It is a hub of talent that's unmissable, and also it's hot on the VC focus. So there is a lot of investment, a lot of talent, and a very cosmopolitan city in spite of the recent few incidents that have come about. I really think that
you know what, Sridhar, I would want to interrupt you. Where have we seen any kind of interjection or intervening from the government side to ensure that nerves are calm? You know, we're looking at fringe groups really hijacking these debates to a point of intimidation, violence. That's not what Bengaluru stands for.
I think that's a fair point, Nabila, that the government should step in and not allow the fringe groups to set the narrative. I think CM in his social media post was fairly, coming forward and saying that this is where the matter should end, where the SBI matter was being debated online. And I think the SBI matter, clearly the SBI staffer was ill-advised on on showing a very protesting behavior towards the local language. Even the RBI guidelines and even the constitution mandates that you should be respectful of the local language. Somewhere that's where the SBI staffer got it wrong. And thankfully, she later came and apologized. And I think the CM set the record straight and said, hopefully the lessons have been learned and the banks will make an effort to ensure that all public-facing officials are trained in the local language. But I think the fringe groups have to be reined in. They have to be told there is a place of dialogue, there is a place of consultation, and progressive engagement on all language-related issues. Local language is paramount across the country, in every state, and that should always be kept in a reasonable way in which the economic vitality of the city is not compromised.
A final word of advice to those fearing Bengaluru, wanting to come down to the Silicon Valley, startup capital, cosmopolitan city, and could have a rude shock facing one of those KRV members?
Don't panic. Bengaluru has been cosmopolitan, as I said, from centuries ago. We have been a very welcoming society. The fringe group should not dictate your decisions. You should definitely talk to more and more people in Bengaluru before you make a decision of coming here or not coming. The weather is unmissable. The talent is unmissable. The VC funding is unmissable. So, so do come over here. I'm sure reason will come into all the fringe groups as well. They understand that Bengaluru, the brand Bengaluru is important for everyone. We have our own flaws, but overcoming them is a collective pursuit.
Thank you, Sridhar. Really appreciate you taking your time off and joining us on that.
Thank you.
All right, a quick take on our viral watch. We saw a very embarrassing moment that came in today between the French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife. She nearly slapped him and it was caught on cameras. Well, French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte both landed in Vietnam earlier today to begin their Southeast Asian tour. The plane doors swung open, revealing him and his wife having an argument, and instantly Brigitte's arm emerging from the left of the open doorway as she places both her hands on her husband's face and literally gives it a shove. Could say stopping short of a slap. President appears startled, quickly recovers as soon as he saw the cameras rolling, turns to the front door and then gathers his composure, starts walking down with his wife Brigitte. The couple start walking downstairs, were officially welcomed by Vietnamese officials. He and Brigitte Macron, his wife, they both seemed all right by the time they got down to meet with those delegates present to receive them. Of course, members of the entourage downplayed the incident. One even called this a minor squabble, while the other said it was just them horsing around. On that note, I'm going to end this show right here. Thanks very much for tuning in. Same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great night.
ನಮ್ಮ ಅರ್ನಿಂಗ್ಸ್ಗೂ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಂಡಿಚರ್ಗೂ ಹೋಲಿಕೆ ಮಾಡೋಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಅದು ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ ಫಂಡ್ಸ್ ಇಂದಾನೇ ಸಾಧ್ಯ.
ನನ್ನ ಆಯ್ಕೆ ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್.
ಕಪಿಲ್ ಚಿಟ್ಸ್, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕನಸಿನ ಸಾಕಾರ.
Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers. The Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwalas.
Fertility rates in South India have dropped more sharply.
In the future, you can see it going further down.
Population aging is definitely a cause of concern.
This is an alarming situation. Horror of horrors, the Pollachi horror. Anna University case is despicable.
Of course, there is a political angle everywhere involved.
Can they ever erase the trauma of these Tamil women?
They give a lot of psychological counseling and support to the victims.
Can we still make up?
Is this politics of appeasement?
That is the ground reality.
The violence continued unabated for the next 24 hours. Why is there Mamta for Pahalgam but not for Murshidabad?
Everyone in Pakistan is saying that India has punished us. We are all agreeing that Operation Sindoor is a success. तो प्रॉब्लम क्या है? किसका नमाज़े जनाजा निकल रहा था बहावलपुर में और रावलपिंडी में?
He plainly tried to internationalize the Kashmir issue.
We know as a matter of fact that it was Pakistan that ran to America.
West seems to disregard anything that doesn't affect it directly.
Donald Trump is trying to tell the world that I am the savior.
He has no business of speaking about Kashmir. There's a Russian reality, there's an American reality, but I suppose there is also an Indian reality.
Pakistan will test you time and again on this particular issue.
We have actually struck harder, wider and deeper.
The escalation happened, so be it.
India must not make the same mistake again.
The brand Aparna Sen, it is a fascinating journey.
I've basically pretty much lived on my own terms.
You stood your ground as a woman.
This is how we were brought up.
You've never hesitated to speak your mind out.
There will always be people who will criticize no matter what you do.
You stand up for people. You are not only an actor, you are an activist.
For my cinema, I've tried to always project what I really felt.
What would be your advice to a younger Aparna?
Maybe I could have made more films. Maybe I could have given more outlet to my creative urges.
I see that you are neither tired nor retired.
Is all of these things said to make me nervous?
Watch Radical Presents Duologue